Yes, this is an absolutely insane story. Recently, an OnlyFans model named Farah Khalidi did an interview with Richard Hanania in which she admitted that she was paid by the Biden administration to create political propaganda with her platform from being an OnlyFans thought. So I thought we should just show the clip before we state our opinions on this. No bias, just hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Here we go.
So you were in school, you were still in college when you started as a TikTok person, right? Or you started OnlyFans when you were in school too?
No, I started TikTok like the spring semester of my senior year, and I was like, fuck, I finally have to start applying for law school. And then like, you know, female privilege, life is so easy for a, you know, woman. Obviously, I lucked out. I'm just kidding. I lucked out, and then, you know, TikTok was basically full-time for me. I think I was taking ads by the time I graduated college from like the Biden administration and Planned Parenthood and like dating apps and stuff. So it was like fully financially, you know, sustaining
So you were
me.
getting, the Biden administration was buying ads from you?
Yeah, I was doing full-on political propaganda.
And they would just, oh really? With like what kind of, like Biden created 10 million jobs
Yeah,
this year?
yeah, honestly, and the funny thing is they're like, do not disclose this is an ad, because, you know, they're like, technically it's not a product, so you don't have to disclose it's an ad, because I think they just wanted like some
Sounds illegal.
edgy girl of color to just tell people, like when they nominated like Ketanji Brown Jackson, they're like, can you say like as a person of color, you know, that you feel reflected? And it's like a white woman emailing this to me, and she's like giving me this script, and I'm like, no, and she's like, please, and I'm like, no, I'll like talk about the news of it, but I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna have a white person tell me to be like, you know, this is how I feel as a person of color. Like, it's just so, I think that black pilled me slightly on like, you know, political propaganda
So
stuff.
the Biden administration sees, oh, here's this young,
Yeah, I mean, they use like a conduit. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not Biden, but it's
it's not
like
Biden,
it's like a third party. You know what I mean? It's like a media company that's doing it on his behalf. I'm not blaming him for this.
Yeah, and the message is like, because you're a dark-skinned woman, you will be inspired by Ketanji Brown Jackson, and all the kids should support her.
Yeah, they're like, basically as like another black person, just say that like you feel reflected by Ketanji. I'm like, no, I'll talk about like Ketanji's background and her accomplishments, but like I never, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna say like the corny stuff. Even if it was a brown person emailing it to me, I'm like, no, that's not like how I feel. Like I don't look at like Ketanji and feel like, wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
So you sell sex online, but it's good to know that you have moral principles that you stick to.
She's like, look.
Like, I'm not going to say the corny shit.
I have so many questions.
I like the idea. She's like, could you write a better script? I just like, it's not hitting. So this one's not hitting.
This ain't
it really
it.
doesn't reflect. What's my motivation in this scene?
I love how she was like, don't blame Biden, by the way.
What even is this podcast?
Richard Hanania is like a cultural commentator, so
Okay. Why
he
is-
had her on. I've seen her on the Whatever podcast many times, but she's definitely an OF model. But it's just strange for her to come out and admit this to everyone, that she is using her platform as a digital prostitute to propagandize people. Not even for like cool purposes,
very
but just
blatant.
for like very normal like democratic platform ideas.
Like they could.
I'm sure Republicans do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm more insulted by how boring the write-up was. Like, I feel seen by Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Well, she didn't do that one.
I know.
Okay, she has boundaries, right? But you can see her naked on the internet.
It's kind of fascinating. I mean, the most fascinating part is how they don't have to disclose that it's a paid advertisement. That's the most
Because it's not a
part.
product, which is
Correct.
interesting, right? Like,
Correct.
It's an idea, not a product. That sounds legally questionable, but that's just me. I'm not an expert.
Who makes the laws?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
What would the Republican version of this be?
I'm sure that there are equivalents.
That's
Like
what- that's what
they
I'm
buy
saying.
off the
No,
influencers.
that's what I'm
and-
saying.
Like Harry
everybody,
Sisson.
Nothing is real. Like, especially for the ones who are the most successful. I look at a successful influencer the same way I would look at any celebrity. Right? If your post is, first of all, if your post is monetized anyways, like, I can take what you're saying at face value and judge it for my own, by its own merits. But I don't buy into what anybody who says anything on the internet as like morally somebody I want to support just because they're successful. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, she has this audience of simps, right? So they buy her OnlyFans because they want to see her naked, right? Obviously, but they want to tell themselves they also find her interesting as a person and they respect her as a public intellectual. So Maybe they are listening to her talking points.
The normalization of like prostitution and pornography, particularly over the last 5 years, is very, shall I say, disheartening.
Yeah.
That's an understatement. Yeah.
I don't know the numbers. What percentage of women under, I don't know, 30 or 35 do you think
in the U.S.?
In the U.S.
We talked about this.
Yeah.
We pulled up these stats because you can see the demographics of people who are OnlyFans creators versus the customers.
I've heard 1%, but I don't know if that's correct.
It's definitely like below 2% of women in the U.S.
It was like 2% or something like that.
Is that was that of women in the entire U.S.?
It was the whole.
But that also counts
because that's including like 80-year-old women and stuff. Like I'm talking about the demographic. Right. The demographic. Yeah. I wonder what the percentage is within the demographic. Let's say like 18 to 40.
Yeah, but that also, it would include accounts on OnlyFans that have been like abandoned or ones that were never started or whatever.
Just making one says something though.
Right, exactly, yes. But
it does say something.
Yeah, I mean, they showed there's a huge population of like the customer base that's from the global south, as it's now called, like men from India, and all of these other countries. Okay. But most of the creators, the female creators, I bet they're from Western countries.
Oh, for 100%.
Yeah.
I do love the idea that someone's like, look, I came for the nudes, but I stayed for the Biden political propaganda.
I stayed for all of your super important philosophical takes, queen. Like,
the same guy the same guy read the articles in Playboy back in the 80s.
And now I'm going to be suspicious of every OnlyFans TikTok chick now. Like, I think they're all paid.
You already should be.
I mean, yeah, but like, which ones of them are funded by the Biden administration?
You know who really gets hurt the most are the ones who actually are political and believe these things. They're like, look, I'm not getting paid for this. This is what I actually believe. How dare you? How dare you?
Biden basically has a whole harem.
Prostituting.
Biden is personally responsible for funding the lifestyles of prostitutes. Love that for him.
Oh, man.
I pulled up this tweet that I sent it to you just now. She posted this photo of herself like pushing her tits out in a pool and made the caption, "Should the death penalty be abolished?"
Holy shit.
This is her political propaganda. This is an actual example of it. And the fact that people aren't talking about her tits in the comments, they're actually debating the issue in the comments. Like this probably means that images like that don't excite people anymore. You've seen it all at some point.
Like the first response is like, yes, both of them should. What?
But yeah, that is exactly the political propaganda that Biden is paying for here.
I do find it interesting because I feel like, you know, if these were being exposed on the right, they would love to make headlines about this towards Trump, which would be interesting. But the fact of the matter is politics is dirty, and everybody's involved in trying to get their message out to as many people as possible.
There's nothing new here. Like, I mean, Biden invited, like, 2 years ago, he invited all those LGBTQ activists and influencers and whatever to the White House. Like,
flashed fake boobs
even
in the lawn.
Wasn't Dylan Mulvaney himself one of these? Like, there's it's not new. It's not new. They're just saying, okay, TikTok is where the young people are at.
And then Biden's like, psych, TikTok ban.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What's the deal with that? Is that actually happening or what?
Looks like it's still gonna. I mean, it's been signed.
Well, it passed the House.
He signed it.
He signed it already.
He signed it and it goes into effect in January.
Oh, interesting.
Unless they sell it first, but they said they're not planning to.
ByteDance doesn't want to sell it.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I see stuff like this, and I just think that a lot of it is if you're politically aware and you pay attention to what's going on, it's nothing new. But I don't think that the average person who works their 9-to-5 job and goes home to their family, or is a young kid, he's in college and he's just going to he's working part-time, he's going to classes, and he goes on social media a lot. I don't think they think about the fact that these things are very real and that the political landscape is messy.
No, I don't think most people think that much, period.
There you go. I think that is the most disturbing part of it, is just that a lot of people, and you could even make the argument that the people who are arguing politics on Facebook wouldn't know that something like this is going on, but still think that it's an us versus them mentality, as if it's not a uniparty anyway. Okay, that's my own personal opinion, that it's a uniparty and that you really don't have any good candidates as it is. right? But they're not gonna think about.
Or if you do, they get railroaded very quickly.
Like, they're not going to talk about dark money from super PACs and all of this stuff. It's disturbing, and to see it done, like you said, online prostitutes is a whole nother ballgame because they're reaching a whole different audience. You're right. All the comments here are talking about the death penalty.
Like, I guess her tits just aren't interesting enough, so this is what she had to turn to.
So actually, it's funny if she's like, then she gets a complex. She's like, look, I was paid for this.
Does anyone actually think I'm hot, or are they just into me for my high IQ?
She gets really upset. She's like, why do you want to keep talking to me about the stuff that I'm interested in?
Wait, if you scroll down, there's like a photo of like an emoji with a fat ass. Should the death penalty be abolished?
Absolutely not. It should be brought back. It should be used
well,
more
since
often.
she asked, yeah, no, I don't.
It's kind
think
of like the
be.
political version of like in Republican circles, it's the trad thought who like, bakes cookies with like massive cleavage.
Right. Exactly.
Like, it's like, what do you think of the cookies I baked?
Basically the same thing. Yep, they're cornering the same market.
Like. Yeah. At least the lady baking cookies had to like actually bake the cookies well.
Got to get the apron and like have all these set props.
I also like the idea that she puts on the apron and it's not, the apron isn't low cut enough, so she like cuts a part of the apron out, completely destroying the purpose of the apron in the first place.
Oh no, there's cake batter getting on my chest.
Whatever
Women
am I
are so
going
funny,
to
man.
do?
Women are hilarious.
That is,
unintentionally most of the time.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.